So my name is Allie. I have the blog Seasoned and Salted, and I started in 2020. And when I started it, I was on Squarespace. I was taking the photos with my camera phone under the fluorescent lights of the kitchen I'm in right now. And I would just slap up a recipe card, not even a recipe card, every night, just what I was making for dinner. And fast forward to last year, 2024.
4.
I was laid off from my full-time job and I had a baby at home. I was postpartum with my first kid, my only kid. And I decided I wanted to really take my blog further. So I'd already at that point migrated from Squarespace to WordPress, and I just didn't understand good practices. For instance, of course I had a recipe card, but I didn't really understand how to be helpful to the user. I just didn't understand that concept whatsoever. And so a few people had mentioned you, Kayla, as just a really good resource. And I reached out and we went through the site audit, and honestly to this day I still think it was such a helpful audit because and I'm sure we'll talk about this more, but it was thorough, but it was really easy to digest and easy to take action on.
Awesome. Yeah,
Yeah.
so we did the audit together last January. So right now it's January 2025.
Yeah.
Just to get that timeline down. Um, but yeah, so I guess what were kind of like the top three problems that you were facing before we did the audit?
Yeah, I would say one before even the three is I just didn't know what I didn't know. I truly I just didn't understand any part of food blogging. And so I think the three issues were tech. So linking, um, site health, and then I would just say um I would just say the way that I wrote, I think is a big piece. I know it sounds kind of funny, but I think that you helped me to understand a little bit more of what I had to write for the user. An example of that would be giving, not just having the recipe card and some little pieces of information, but actually showing them, for instance, how to make the recipe with step-by-step photos. I didn't even realize that, or even the value in having an ingredient shot. I think just again you helped me to understand kind of how to be helpful versus just putting something there to be a placeholder.
Yeah, and I think that's something a lot of people don't really understand in the beginning, especially like
Yeah.
putting a post together in order of the user, like actually making the recipe is super helpful
Yeah.
and just
And
like
I think
breaking up paragraphs.
And I think too, it's really funny. I didn't realize, even when you told me that, hey, this is the best practice, I was like, okay, Kayla said, so I'm gonna listen. But it wasn't until even months later that I realized it, because I had people for instance, my grandmother asked me a question about the recipe, my lobster cakes, which is one of my first recipes that got me my traffic. And I was able to say, oh, if you actually go to this part where it says helpful tips, it's there. And so I think that that was the first time that I realized that just thinking in the user's perspective is the best way to go. And I think that that's Google does that. Google knows if you're being helpful.
Yeah, I think that's super important because like we're making these recipes regularly. Like we know everything,
Yeah.
so we don't really think about
Yeah,
what our user doesn't know.
exactly.
Yeah, awesome. So how do you think like if you hadn't have done the audit, like where do you think you'd be now?
I don't think I would be where I am. So I after so I did the audit in January. I monetized in May and hit 50,000 sessions. Then and then
What you were at before the audit?
yeah, before the audit I was at 700.
Oh wow.
So it wasn't
That's
great.
amazing.
Yeah, so it was really quick growth for me. So I'm from 700 to 50,000 in a few months. And then June, I think, is the first month I hit 100,000. So I doubled from May to June. And now where I am is my food blog. I was on Mediavine. I'm actually switching over to my ad networks. And there's a lot to that. I obviously really liked Mediavine, but it was funny. A lot of the best practices that you taught me, I was told to undo to increase my
Yeah.
RPMs, but that actually wasn't the case. It didn't work. So now I'm going back to what you told me, and I'm reformatting all my posts again.
Oh no.
It's okay, it's a learning. But
Yeah.
but I'm going over to Raptive and then I also just launched my second blog because I found that I love blogging so much that I really want to keep doing it. And so I think the audit really helped because it gave me a sense of confidence and it also like helped me to love blogging because not only did I have the confidence but like have a very clear understanding of what I need to do for each post. And so I think being able to focus on that and focus less on like what other people are doing has been really helpful.
Yeah, I'm so excited for your second site.
Yeah.
Awesome. That's amazing growth.
Yeah.
What do you think has made like the biggest difference for you if with growing your traffic
Yeah,
like in such a quick time?
I think honestly, I think part of it was like how many posts I put up. Like I put out at least 8 to 12 posts every month. But I think also it was about the content that I was writing and I think that like sticking to like what I know was really helpful. Um I think too some of the things that like made a big difference for me like when I met with you I had so many broken links.
Mm.
And like just like those little pieces of like I think I hate to use this word but like sloppy work like all over my site and I think just like I think those things are some of the areas where people are so hesitant to like spend like an hour just like fixing them these little
Mhm.
things but those are things that actually like are I think allow you to have those quick wins because it's telling Google like oh you care about your site health and you care about kind of the consistencies so I think just fixing all of those I think just like the way that I wrote many posts that were very connected to each other and made sense with each other um and I think also one thing that you taught me that allowed me to do that was just, I know some people say that you shouldn't have like a template for your posts, but I actually do. I know you love reusable blocks. Like, I actually find a lot of empowerment in that because I know when I'm developing the recipe, I'm already thinking of what I need to know for the user. So I find that the development stage and also the writing stage goes so much quicker now, kind of knowing what is helpful to the user.
Yeah, I think it's super helpful to use a template and you can just like toss
Yeah.
everything you can think of into it and then what you don't use for the post, just delete it.
Yes. Or like sometimes I'll be like, oh, like, and sometimes there are things that come up naturally. Like I'm doing a whole series on Seasoned and Salted, which is the blog that you audited. Spoiler alert, I will definitely have you do an audit on my other website. But like I'm doing a whole series on the traditional Roman pastas. And so there are four of those. And something that wouldn't naturally be part of that template is like an explanation of the others and kind of connecting them. And so like that's just something I've added. And then maybe there's something that, I delete that I would normally add to something else. So I think that it's nice because it allows you like a clear framework and like it's kind of like when you're baking. Like if you have like a base sugar cookie recipe and you're like, I want to make sugar cookies with M&Ms versus sugar cookies with sprinkles, like you just add the mix in or you take away what you don't need.
Mhm.
So,
Yeah, definitely.
yeah.
Awesome. Do you have any advice for people that are maybe getting started with their blog or want to start a second one?
The biggest advice I have, and I tell everyone I know this, and I have so many friends that have DM'd me even the last week that went to your webinar that found out about you from me, which is like my biggest claim to fame is I try if someone doesn't know who you are, they need to know because I think for me the biggest piece of advice I have for someone starting a blog is look for reputable free resources and I think the number one is your email list. Like I've what messaged you like so many times in the last week just being like where is this one that you sent because I
Mhm.
saved them all but then I've lost some of them. So I think like finding some people that you think are doing really well, like find people that you want to emulate and then reach out to them, follow what they do. Like it's you're not copying them, but you're like you look at what they do
Yeah.
and look for really strong resources. And I think the thing is only learn from people or invest in development from people who are doing something that you want to do, right?
Mhm.
Like aspirationally. I think too the biggest thing that people I think one of the biggest reasons why people quit is because they're looking for instant gratification.
Yeah.
I am such an instant gratification person in my like personal life. Like
Same.
if I want a cookie, I'm going to eat a cookie right now. Like I'm not
Mhm.
going to wait till after dinner or something. Or if I like want to purchase something, like I have never thought about a purchase and gone back to it the next day. Like I'll purchase, like I just do things when I want them. And I think with blogging, that was really hard for me to
Yeah.
understand that like you have to put in the work consistently for like 6 months at least when you're starting before you really see the amazing results. And like you can't lie to yourself. Like in this type of business, and I know you had a corporate job before this, and I still have a corporate full-time job. Like you have coworkers and you have team members, you have managers who are like relying on you, and there's like a trickle down effect. And like you can lose your job. But when it comes to food blogging, like you're the one that's holding yourself accountable. Even if you do join those accountability groups, which I think are really honestly very beneficial for people, you ultimately know at the end of the day if you're doing your work to the best of the ability or not. So I think just like sticking with it and being really consistent is really important, but also like not discrediting some really, really strong free resources. But, you know, I think that's
Mhm.
good too.
Yeah, I think that's a really good point, and I agree. That's a big reason why a lot of people do quit because they don't see those results right
Yeah.
away. And I guess outside looking in, and also like from helping you with the audit, like I think some things that have helped you grow really quickly is that you took action immediately and put in the work like consistently. Like you were working so hard, I could tell.
I
And
remember when you sent me like the document, like one of my friends, Emily, did an audit with you, and she said she
Mhm,
was like, the document that you get after the audit, it's so helpful. Like, not only do you tell me what to do, but then you also have the Loom videos, which like blew my mind. I think that like if you're someone that invests in the audit, like I would tell people you are better off waiting to do the audit until you actually are ready to do make the changes from the audit within like a reasonable time frame. Like
mhm.
I think that's
Yeah,
really big too, is making sure that you have the time and energy to actually make the changes, which it's not that bad. Like, but I think it is really important. Like, don't invest money in something if you don't have time or the energy right now to actually like see it through. And I've done that millions of times with
yeah.
courses. Like,
Mhm.
I have signed up for probably 4 courses before, and I have never finished a single course. So I've
Yeah.
just learned that I'm not a course person, but like an audit or like a one-on-one coaching is great.
Mhm. Do you think like I guess like the reason you took action so quickly, do you think it had anything to do with how I laid out the resources and stuff, or is it just
Yeah,
the
it was
position you were in?
I think it was a little bit of both. I mean, having been laid off, I had like I wasn't like stressed about money because I had a great settlement, but I I had the time. I mean, I had a baby at home, so like I had the time, but
Yeah.
I also didn't have the
Yeah.
time. I'll like never forget that. But I think the way that you laid it out was really helpful. Like I get overwhelmed by a lot of information at once, and it was so easy. Like, I love that it was a Google Doc. I love that I could make notes and ask you questions on it before. I don't know if you still do it this way, but I love that you sent that to me before we hopped on the call. Do you still
Mhm.
do that? Like
Yeah.
that like was helpful because then I feel like we were able to use our time so efficiently. Like I remember
Mhm.
hopping on that call and being like, we blew through all this because I like wrote notes and you wrote back. And then I think just after that call, it was so easy to know, okay, like what is the priority? What are the quick wins? And like I loved it. Like I thought it was awesome. And I honestly would suggest that to anybody. I think it's a great audit.
Thank you. Another thing that I think like helped you grow really quickly is I think you're very niche down.
I
Um,
am. Yeah. And I think that there's a lot of, so I know there's like a lot of debate on that. I like it for me because I get like shiny object syndrome.
yeah.
And for me, it's just so nice focusing on what I know. And even now from last year, I've niched down so much more. Like I'm really doing Italian pasta forward recipes and also coastal New England recipes, which is kind of different, but they are kind of aligned in terms of like the fresh ingredients and seafood.
Mhm.
I think that helps because it's easier to interlink content. And I think I don't think people I think people underestimate the value of proper linking structures.
Hmm. Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
Awesome. Um, I guess how has like all of this progress and things changed your personal life?
A lot. Like I think it's given me something to be so proud of. I always thought that I was someone that had to feel success or fulfillment from my full-time job, and I love my full-time job so much. But now I feel this sense of pride and success in the business. Like my dad said to me the other day, he went on my website to make a chicken pot pie or
Love chicken
something,
pot
I
pie.
forget. And it's really good. And he was like, there are ads on your website. Is that allowed? Is something wrong? And I was like, no, Dad, that's how I make money. And that was so cool. Like that was really cool. And like we had family here in Christmas and I told them, I was like, oh my God, I made like a few $1,000s like last month or the month before. Like, and they were like, doing what? And I was like, sleeping, eating, living my life, like letting my website just live and exist. And I think that has been really great because it's just, I don't know, it gives you a sense of pride and um it gives me like a productive hobby, which is good.
Do you think you'll stick with your full-time job and keep vlogging on the side?
So my goal, I think, is like I'm 32. I had to think when I said that. Um, I'm 32, and I think, my daughter is 1.5. Oh, hold on. Sorry, my husband just texted me. He just asked if I need something from the grocery store, and I know that I do. What is it
Oh
that
my
I
God.
need from the grocery store? Okay, I'll tell him. Sorry.
No, no, you're good.
I think for me, so I'm 32 and I love my full-time job. My goal, I think, is like I think I'd like to do this full time by 40. Like, I think right now, honestly, people think I'm crazy, but I have a full-time job, I have a daughter, and now I have two blogs, and all I do is read in my free time. Um, and I have two dogs and a husband. But I like the balance right now. Like it's fine to me.
Mhm.
And so I want to do everything for as long as possible. And then I think eventually when I'm making multi six figures, like then I think I'd be comfortable doing this full time. For me, actually something big that you did help me do is I used to do client work, freelance work, and I thought I loved it because everyone else I know does it and they seem to love it. And so I told myself I loved it. And one day my husband was like, I think you hate creating stuff for other people. And I was like, yeah, I think I do too. Um, Especially when like I worked with you and then my website monetized, I realized like any time that I'm spending investing into another brand is time that I could spend making something for me that I love.
Mhm. Yeah.
So now because of kind of the success of the of Seasoned and Salted, and now One Bowl Bakery will launch, and my goal is to have that monetized by Q3, which I know is a little crazy. I mean, I really wrote Q2 in my notes, but like I don't, we'll see. But my goal, like this year, like I'm not gonna send one single pitch email this year. I'm not gonna work with anyone,
Mhm.
and that just sounds really nice.
Yeah, I pretty much stopped pitching and all of that once I
Yeah.
started doing the coaching because I am like, I
Yeah.
have the
Well,
blog and coaching and I enjoy them both way more than brand works.
yeah. And like for me, I just realized I get such like I have anxiety
Same.
and I know we're both anxious feel like it comes out in certain times. And like for me, I get a high from this like the business development and the sales aspect of the deals, but like I don't actually want to do the work
Yeah.
and sending to them makes me nervous and I don't know. So I think for, like that's the biggest piece is like my husband said to me, he's like, so basically your dream is to just not to just, but to only work on your blog and not to create content for other people. And I was like, yeah. He was like, that's amazing. Like you're just working for yourself. Like that's what you want. So
Mhm.
it's exciting. I think I'll probably do it sooner than 40, but
Yeah.
in case my full-time job sees it, yeah, I'll do this till 40.
Yeah, no, I think that's a good point too. I think like a lot of people see what other people are doing and they think they have to do it too, but it's like you can
Yeah.
follow your own path. Like you don't have to make it super complicated. Like stick with what you know and what you enjoy.
Yeah, like I know a lot of people, even like one of my friends, Megan, who you know, um, she makes the most beautiful, stunning videos, and she has videos on all of her recipe pages, and I love them. I'm obsessed. Um, but honestly, I love shooting videos, but I just don't have the time. So like I'm not shooting videos. And I think that's the
Mhm.
thing about blogging that people need to remember. Like do whatever you can do to the best of your ability. Do not spread yourself too thin. And I know I'm saying that while I just said that I have two blogs now, but like look at your capacity and just keep it simple.
Hmm. Yeah, and it seems like you're managing things pretty well and you enjoy it, which is really important.
Yeah. Well, for now I do. We'll see.
Yeah. You can always pivot. So,
Yeah.
yeah. No, I think you're doing amazing and you clearly like have put in the time and effort to develop like a good skill set and everything. So I'm very
Yeah.
excited
Again, I
for you.
mean the audit did really help. I think the audit created like a sense of urgency that I think as someone who's like in the blog capacity is self-employed, sometimes you don't get that sense of urgency put upon you. So I think that really helped too.
Mhm. Well, is there anything else that you want to share, advice you have for bloggers or anything like that?
For me, honestly, like again, the biggest piece is I would tell anyone to follow you on Instagram and sign up for those emails. It's crazy. Like in creating the second blog of One Bowl Bakery, in the last week, there were two things that tripped me up, and you had resources on both of them. I'm serious. It's amazing. It's like it's just
What were
it's
they?
so it was the nutrition info, like getting it to do a pop
Oh yeah,
down.
yeah. Hmm.
And then it was um oh my God, especially for baking, it was when you switch the serving size, getting like the other like the grams to switch
Oh, you
over.
got it. Okay,
And
good.
so I wrote that in a food blogging group, and literally someone wrote, Kayla Burton has a video on that.
Wait, really? I didn't see that.
Yeah. And anytime I write to my like close friends, like, oh, I need help with this, because my close friends are just food bloggers on Instagram. Um, 99% of the time someone's like, oh, Kayla has a video on that, to the point where I'm like, oh, I should just like go there before Google or asking. And I really think that those resources are great. I think too, give yourself time with your blog before doing audit. Like have your blog for a while, just do to your best ability, put out good content that is connected to each other, that you are an expert in. Like something I do not know anything about, crock pot meals. Like I don't own a crock pot. So I'm not going to go buy a crock pot and create crock pot meals. Or actually a really good example is, Ninja Creamies are really hot right now.
Hmm.
My husband uses his Ninja Creamy every day. That's amazing. Um, Chris would probably love one for like the games.
I wanted to get one, and he was like, "You don't need one. There's no space on our counter."
I
Well,
said that
he
to Eric, but
didn't
like
say it like
honestly,
that,
I
but
get why he uses it. But like I am not gonna now create a Creamy section because it's hot. Like I think you have to get into blogging because of a passion that you have. Like, don't
Mhm.
start a blog to make money. Start a blog because you have something that keeps you up at night and you cannot stop thinking about. For me, I literally can't stop thinking about food. And like sometimes something will just pop in my head. And Key Search is the number one website on my phone. I'll just pop in Key Search and I'll just look at and I'll be like, oh, that's a great idea. But I think guys, stop my dogs. I think just like follow what you're interested in and definitely do an audit with Kayla. But I think like get a few recipes up, like get some traction and then, save up, do the audit, but then follow through with it.
Yeah, give yourself some time to like figure things out on your own and figure out where your
Yeah.
weaknesses are and like where you
Yeah.
actually really need help.
And also, oh, the last one is do not sign up for so many tools that you can't
Yeah.
manage. Like I only use, and I know you're not a Rank IQ user. I am. So like I use two tools, Key Search and Rank IQ. And that's
Mhm.
it. Like I don't, the one other tool that I did really love was Clarity by Food Blogger Pro, like their Clarity. I know there's like Microsoft Clarity as well.
Yeah.
Um, that's something that I'm like thinking about getting again for 2025. But the reason why I have it now is just because in my head, I can only manage so many systems and processes.
Hmm.
So I think that's something too that people get overwhelmed with, like the investment in just the systems. Start small and you can always add or detract later.
Hmm. Yeah, same for
Yep.
plugins too. I've
Oh my
seen a
gosh,
lot of,
people are so plug-in happy.
yeah. It's like less is more.
I had a plugin that like ruined my Google Analytics for my entirety of my website. And so
Yeah.
like it took finding a developer to be like that was it and um just ask people what they're using and again only ask advice of people who you admire and who you find is aspirational.
Hmm. Yeah. This
Yeah.
is all really great advice. Thank you so
Yeah.
much for
Well,
sharing.
thank you. I wouldn't be where I am if it weren't for you, and I wouldn't be launching a second website if it weren't for you. And I think you are just like the kindest person ever. Like you don't have a mean bone in your body, and I feel like you were born to help people. Like I really believe that you were. I mean, everyone loves you. You're so supportive. So it's great. You've made such a great community.
Yeah, this is my favorite part about what I do, and just connecting
I
with
know. I feel like you love this
everybody.
more than you love the food
I
blogging.
do, yeah.
Yeah, I get to. There's probably a lot more like satisfaction, interpersonal satisfaction.
Yeah, yeah, because I like growing up, I was very shy and didn't really get that kind of like support and attention. So now I'm like, I just want to give everybody else the
Well,
support.
it's very felt. Everyone feels that way. We love you.
Thank you. I love
Yeah.
all of you guys back. So thank you so much again. This was
Yeah, of
great.
course.
Well, my name is Donna Poirier, and my website is ladypeartree.com. And my food niche is basically recipes that revolve around pasta, soup, and I've noticed I do quite a bit of ground meat recipes. So I think I'm going to, focus on that too. And my recipes, I try to make them all with a healthy twist and everything. Easy, definitely not gourmet, just, easy everyday recipes, the ones I make, for myself and my family.
Mhm. And I can confirm the Marry Me Chicken Tortellini is a winner.
Yes, yes, I'm glad you like that one.
Hmm. Yeah, Chris made it before we were married, and now we're married, so it works.
There you go. It works.
I also saw that you have got the sniffles in your the bar
Yeah.
on top of that. That's so cute. I love that.
I know, I know. Like I don't have many recipes, as you know, so I'm trying to like, be creative and
Hmm.
think of ways to do that kind of thing, right?
Yeah, yeah, it's a good season for it to promote your soup.
Yeah, you bet.
And I really love how your site looks with the Feast Plus design. It's so
I love
pretty. I
Feast
love the
Plus.
colors.
I love that you can like customize it all, and it's so easy for someone like me. And as you know, like I'm not super technical, so
Mhm.
I love that.
Good. I'm glad you're liking it. Okay, so you did the group coaching program this January through June, so 2024. So before the group coaching program, what were kind of like the top things that you were struggling with?
Well, for me, it was always the technical issues. Setting up forms on the website, like back end stuff that I would struggle with. So I found with the coaching, what I really loved is, having access to you, who has like an abundance of knowledge, and all the Loom videos you would do in regards to all the technical things. Like for me, that was gold. Like I love that because I was very visual. I could focus. I could follow along as I was setting things up. So yeah, the technical part was very frustrating. The other thing too that was a bit annoying is, you're in food blogging, and at the time I didn't know any people. There was no one I could, bounce ideas off of. I didn't like I just didn't know anyone, and I found it frustrating because I have friends and I talk about blogging, but no one really understands like another food blogger. So it's kind of fun to have that community, and I found that with your coaching program, which was amazing.
Good.
And yeah, time management was something I struggled with a lot. Like even though I do it part time, is that's what I've been doing. My goal for 2025 is different. Time management, I don't know, for some reason, trying to incorporate the blogging into my life. I don't know, my head was always spinning and I didn't have like a set routine. So doing the coaching really helped me, set a routine, get things done and just manage, my personal life and this blog that I'm trying to build.
Awesome. So if you hadn't done the group coaching and things had stayed the same for you, how do you think that would have impacted your business and personal life?
Uh, well, first of all, while I was doing the coaching, I was able to monetize. And at the time, my goal was at the time, there was Mediavine 50,000 sessions. But while I was doing the coaching, I had reached 10,000. And I think, well, the Mediavine journey by Mediavine is 10,000. So I reached that during our coaching, it was such like a boost, right? It's like, yes. And
Yeah.
then you get in. And so that was amazing. Like the coaching like helped me. And then with all the different things you taught us, that really helped me to grow and grow. And, like now I have like about 30,000 sessions, well, last month, which
That's
is like
amazing.
a big difference from, where I was in January. So the coaching was really helpful on that business side because of course I'm making money, not a ton of money, but it's a start and it's just amazing that I feel like, you can create these recipes and this website and, suddenly you're making money from it. I think it's like I don't know, it's a hoot. I love it.
Yeah.
And what's the other thing you asked me?
Like
Well,
business personal.
it's like I felt motivated to continue, like since
Good.
with the coaching, it's built my confidence and I'm just like super like motivated to keep going with the whole thing. And yeah,
Good. I'm so happy to hear that.
thanks.
Where were you at traffic wise before the group coaching?
Well, I see, January, I had not even, I made it to 10,000 in February. So I might have been around 8,000 sessions last January. And then I made it to Journey by Mediavine in February. And last in November, I was well, I went to a little bit over 30 and like it keeps growing. I find now it's kind of like a slower season considering I have more evergreen content, not necessarily holiday related,
Mhm.
but it's still around the 30,000 sessions a month, which I still think is good. As long as it
Yeah.
keeps growing, even at the slow pace it is, I'm motivated by that. So yeah, that makes me happy. I'm happy. But I
Good.
have big plans. I have big plans to grow it. So,
I
but at
believe in
least
you.
this has given me like the confidence to keep going. Like it's really a boost.
Good. I'm very happy to hear that. And I'm excited to see what you have in store.
Yeah.
I know I love like how your personality kind of shines through your writing now and like I'm excited to see what else you do with it because
Oh,
I know you have big plans for email and stuff like that too.
yeah, I do. And like the coaching, like I learned so much just to, be confident who you are. Um, just find your own voice. And that's one thing I struggled with. In the beginning, I was just, it was very rote and I was just kind of trying to keep it what's the right way of saying it? Just trying to keep it I guess generic
Yeah.
because generic was safe. But with the
Mm.
coaching, I figured, you know what, I'm just gonna like be less generic and just be who I am. And so I started to do that and it's fun. And I figure I'm going to write based on who I am. And you
Mhm.
either like it or you don't. And
Yeah.
that's fine. And I'm writing for like, my people, like my
Mhm.
audience or who I want my audience to be,
Yeah.
which, and it makes it like more fun for me too, because I'm not being generic, right? The whole
Mhm.
point of this is to be creative. And what is creativity?
Yeah.
It's something that's unique to everyone, right?
Yeah. And you want to be able to enjoy it so that you can kind of sustain it
That's
long term.
exactly, yeah, that's
Yeah.
exactly it. I agree.
Yeah. And I think you're doing a great job of like building a brand around your blog and your business in general, like by
I
showing who
try.
you are.
Exactly. Yeah.
Did you have anything else on that topic that you wanted to share?
Um, no, I'm good.
Okay. What were kind of like the biggest takeaways that you got out of the group coaching program?
Um, I think we touched on that a bit. That was like finding your voice and
Oh yeah,
writing
okay.
for who you want your audience to be. Because
Mhm.
sometimes, like, I'm in the beginning stages. I don't know who my audience is, but I have a good idea of who that could be. So
Yeah.
finding your voice and writing for those people. Um, I've also, from coaching, I learned to be more consistent. Before I was a little bit all over the place. Now, if I'm shooting a recipe, I know which day that is. If I'm writing it, I know which days those are. So consistency and time management were good
Mhm.
takeaways for me. And it helped me, your coaching actually helped me be more confident too, just being confident in who you are and just putting it out there. So that just gave me confidence to push forward with things.
Can you remember anything in particular, like from the group coaching that kind of helped with those areas? Like
Oh
maybe
my
an
gosh,
exercise we did or something.
you're putting me on the
Sorry.
spot. Um, oh my God, I can't think of anything right now.
I know we did an exercise where everybody kind of shared a thing or two about everybody else. Do you remember doing that?
No, I don't remember that. Oh my God.
And then I shared, I sent it to each individual
Oh, right.
person,
Oh, I love
the like
that. Yeah, it
qualities
was
that people,
yeah, it was kind of anonymous. And is that the one you're
yeah.
talking about? Anonymous,
Hmm.
and then people just kind of gave their view of who that person was or who they
Yeah.
I don't know how to describe it, but it was, yeah,
Yeah.
it was interesting. It was very cool where you got to see what people how people are perceiving you
Hmm.
in what you do and everything. Yeah, I like that one. That was
Yeah.
I like that a lot.
Did that kind of help build your confidence a little bit and get to know your style? Maybe.
Well, that's true. It is because it did because you don't you know who you are and you don't know how people really perceive you. So it did because I found out things that oh I hadn't realized that that it was like that. And when people put it down on paper, it just made me confident knowing that you know people saw things that way.
Good. Yeah, I know it was fun to see those, and I think people knew about you that you don't really love the cold, but you like going for walks and stuff like that.
Yeah, that's it. That's it. And what's really cool is that it was anonymous. So I've often wondered, well, who said that? Like
Hmm.
some of these things stand out in my mind. And one of the things was like has really nice photography, and it's something I've struggled with. So, for someone to actually say that to me, I was like, wow, do they really think so? Maybe my photography is not that bad after all. So you kind of got to think about things that you do in a different way, right? Because we're so used to looking at our work and going, oh, it's not good enough, or,
Hmm.
do I have to, but then when someone else sees it, they see it through like a new set of eyes. So
Yeah,
uh,
definitely.
that's
I
good
love
too,
your
because then
photos.
you're like, okay, like I'm chill, like I'm doing okay, like I'm on the right track.
Hmm. Definitely. Yeah. Do you want to go over the top three lessons you wish other food bloggers would know? Or do you think
Yeah,
we already
sure.
covered
So
that?
let me see. Well, I would say, firstly, take the time to figure things out before jumping into it. I know a lot of people say, oh, I just jumped into it and I had no idea what I was doing. I would say spend some time figuring it out a little bit. I spent time figuring it out, but I think I spent too much time and kind of hiding behind that. But do spend time figuring out, you know, the back end of blogging, understanding SEO and all that. Because that way, if you figure that out early on, you don't have to go back and redo things, change things. Just get a good grasp of it before you launch.
Hmm.
And the other thing I would say is that, first of all, you have really good resources on your blog post website. And when I started blogging, I didn't have access to like a one-stop shop kind of area where I can get all these amazing,
Same.
like, which plugins you need and all these different things you list on your website. So I would say head over to Kayla's website, food blog, food blog coach, because you have all the resources there. Like I was, pulling things from this website, that website, and it's time consuming. It's like super confusing. But when I saw you had all those resources, I thought, oh my God, where was this when I started in 2020? because I
Hmm.
started in 2020, like researching, but then I only published about a year and a half later. This is why I say I spent way too much time researching. But had I known you back then, I would have had everything in one place, and maybe I would have launched quicker.
Yeah, same. I wish I had something like that when I was starting. So that's why I
Well,
put it
there you
out
go.
there.
You've done it. Yeah, exactly. And the other thing I would say for other bloggers, or one of the lessons I've learned is that you need to diversify your traffic.
Mhm.
I know a lot of people a lot of my traffic is Google, sadly, and I'm trying to, work on Pinterest, which is still a challenge, and social media, that's another challenge. So when you start, don't put all your eggs in one basket with Google, and really try to branch out, learning all the different areas that you can pull traffic from.
Yeah, that's, I think, especially important these days with everything going on with Google.
I know.
Awesome. Well, thank you for sharing those. Do you have
Yeah.
any advice for bloggers who are interested in or considering group coaching?
Well, I think if you're considering it and you're wondering about it, I think that's your sign to like just do it, because you have everything to gain and nothing to lose, quite frankly. You gain access to you with all the amazing resources. Because when you do the coaching with you, you have way more resources, right? You have all those things you put in Google Drive that we're able to access, and what yeah, so you gain access to all that information on Google Drive and in the coaching and stuff. And also, yeah, you have access to a community. So,
Mhm.
if you're looking for that, that'll be the perfect place to find a community, and people who share the same frustrations, and yeah.
Yeah, awesome. And do you think that people should be at like a specific level for this kind of group coaching?
I would say you should have your website all set up and ready to go, and you should really understand everything that's happening with that, like as much as the technical stuff as possible. But I would say if you're a beginner, this is like amazing program for you. That's my opinion. Yeah.
Good. Cool. Thank you. Um, I
Thank
think that's
you. Thank you for
it.
everything you do and
Oh my gosh.
you've done. It's amazing. Honestly, Kayla,
Thank
you've
you.
done a great job.
I appreciate that. And I'm glad that you found everything so helpful and you're growing. I can't wait to see what
Yeah.
you do next year.
Yeah. Thanks. Thanks.
I like you really did do your research on everything and you've been very resourceful and are putting out really high quality content. So I have very high hopes for you.
Thank you. I try.
You're doing great. Awesome. Is there anything else that you wanted to share?
Well, the other thing I wanted to share too is that when you do the coaching with you, um, like I said, you get access to all those resources that are not on your website. And one of the things I really loved was it the content updating PDF that you had given us or you had created for us,
Oh,
updating
the
content PDF. Because I'm at a point now where I'm starting to update content. So you had the updating content PDF, which was good, and then I used that with the Google Search Console content analyzer.
hmm.
So I worked those together because I've been doing this button now for almost 2 years now. So I'm at the point where I'm starting to look at my earlier work and
Yeah.
trying to
Go back
get
and
that.
update some stuff.
Yeah, I know some of it's bad, as everyone's first things are pretty bad.
Mhm.
So yeah, some
Yeah.
of that needs updating. So
Yeah.
I'm working on
Good.
that. That's one of my goals for 2025.
Good. I'm glad those are helpful for you.
Mm-hmm.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for taking the time to do this and share all of this. It's super helpful.
It was my pleasure, Kayla. And yeah, you've done a great work, and you're a really positive influence on the whole food blogging world community. So yeah, thank you for everything you do.
Thank you.
Yeah, so I am Haley. I um my blog is Real Food with Altitude,
And I have been doing that since 2020. So however long it is, for almost 5-ish years. I feel like the first couple years I had no idea what I was doing. It was under a different name. I just like was doing it to fill time during COVID. Um, and then I realized like I wanted to take it more seriously. So I started like actually trying to work on it and still not really having an idea of what I was doing. And then I'd say in the last like year or year and a half, I finally started taking it like really seriously and like actually like putting like I put a lot of effort into it before, but like really learning like the ins and outs of blogging and like focusing more on like SEO and like the back end type of stuff, which has really helped me. And it I feel like that has also like sparked more motivation for me as well. So that
Yeah.
has been good the last like year or so.
Yeah, good. And then we did an audit and coaching call a little earlier this year. So I guess what were your top like problems or frustrations before doing that?
Yeah, so before we had talked, I felt like I was just like really stuck, one in like my motivation because none of my views were like increasing at all. I just like was stuck. I feel like I was stuck at like 1,500 or 2,000-ish, if I remember correctly, like views a month or sessions or whatever a month. And I felt like I could never break through that, and I didn't really understand like ranking or like the importance of like all the back end stuff. And I feel like that was just like killing my motivation because I just felt like I was like spinning my wheels and not understanding like any of my back end stuff. And then I would do one thing and it would like kill the speed on my website. I would like do something else and it would ruin something else. So I just like felt like I didn't have a handle on like the back end of everything, which was um really why I reached out to you, was just like how to like set up like a process for myself and also like really start to understand the ins and outs of like plugins and things like that, of things I was actually using or actually needed on my website, because I feel like I had taken a couple courses and it just like wasn't great advice. And so I followed you for a little while and like felt like you really explained things well and like really like the things you were posting were like actually really helpful tips and tricks. And so I reached out and was like, I need help with a lot of things.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah. So that was fun to connect with you. Like it's been awesome getting to know you and working with you.
Yes, same.
Um, yeah, so I guess if things like if you hadn't done the audit with me and things had stayed the same for you, how would that have affected your business and your personal life?
Yeah, I have a goal of, I want to blog full time, whether I leave my job or not. I would love to like monetize my blog, I guess is what I'm looking for. And I felt like I was never gonna get there, which, like I said, it was burning me out. And so I felt like blogging like wasn't fun to me anymore. Like I wasn't seeing any growth or progress. And it was like it started as like a creative outlet for me, which it was, but then it was like frustrating also like to not see it grow at the same time. So I felt like it was burning out my creativity. And then, talking to you and like really getting a handle on things, I've seen a lot of growth. And I feel like that in the last couple months, it's really brought back like my motivation for blogging again and like actually wanting to cook. And I've had a big year with a lot of things. So that blogging, like I felt like it was a good time to like take a back seat and then really like dive into everything again. So, and I think diving in the last couple months and really like implementing, I think I told you the other day, I was like going through everything that we had talked about again, just to make sure that I really had like touched on everything that we talked about. And I feel like I've seen so much growth in the last few months, which has given me a lot more motivation to keep going with it. So I feel like, to answer your question, like I feel like I don't know if I would have kept blogging much longer. Like I really like it, but also it's frustrating to not see growth. So it's easy to like give up at a certain point. So I'm super glad that we talked and it like sparked more motivation in me.
Good. Yeah, I'm really happy to hear that too. Are you okay with sharing kind of where you're at now versus before? I know you said you're like around 1.5 to 2,000 sessions.
Yeah, I feel like that's what it was, or maybe it was 2,500. It was somewhere in
Mhm.
there. And I right now at the end, I think I'm at 5,900 sessions. So I'm hoping at the end of this month I can be at 6,000 sessions. So I've more than like doubled my views. And like I said, I think we talked back in like May. So that I did a lot then, and then we got married and moved and bought and sold the house and honeymooned. And so there was a few months where I didn't do anything. So since like September, I really feel like is when I've it's really like doubled in my sessions, which has been exciting. Like I said, it seems like a long time since we've talked, but it hasn't been a lot since I've implemented and like really gotten back into blogging again. So that has been good that in a few months it's really doubled.
Yeah, that's amazing. That's so awesome to see. What do you think were like the biggest takeaways from like the audit and coaching call that helped you get there?
Yeah, the one thing I was thinking about this last night, the one thing that I feel like helped the most was honestly like obviously the audit overall, but the checklist that you gave me of like it was like a million pages, it felt like, of just like things to like do, which was so helpful. I'm such a list person and like marking
Same.
things off. And I felt like I was overwhelmed with like I knew I needed to do a lot of work, but I didn't have like a system or like even just like to break it down into small bites of like, okay, today I can check off like 3 things on my blog of like how to fix the back end or whatever it is. So I feel like that was the first thing is the list that just like gave me things to do versus like sitting here and spinning my wheels and then just feeling like overwhelmed and not actually doing anything. It made it really easy to like give me like action items to go do that if I had, an hour after work, I'd be like, okay, well, I can like open this and check off like 2 things really quickly. So I feel like that was the first thing. And then getting a handle on and understanding more of the back end of everything. I had like a million plugins, I felt like, that weren't actually like doing anything or like making my website slow and clunky. And that I feel like once we talked, you gave me really good direction of like, this is what you need, like, this is what you need to change, and like, then just delete a bunch of other things. And that really helped, like, one, my speed, but also it felt less overwhelming. And a lot of the plugins you recommended were free, which was great. I felt like I was like paying for so many different plugins that weren't like doing anything. So it saved me money, but also it like really helped just like declutter the back end
Yeah.
of my blog, which was super helpful. And the last thing I just had in my head and totally forgot. Um, oh, what was it? Oh, my homepage. I feel like you helped me like revamp my homepage, which has been really helpful and like giving me like confidence to like actually go in and like change things versus like I would do it and like get it set and not want to touch anything because I was afraid I was gonna break something. So like now I go in like seasonally and change everything and like can go in and I put like an email subscriber thing in there and like just like different things to like help the user experience and also just kind of like organize my blog. I felt like it was kind of a little bit of a mess because I didn't really know. It was just kind of like all my thoughts like on one page that wasn't super useful.
Yeah, I know. I helped you make some of those like block layouts on your homepage with like
Yeah,
the
which I
kind of
didn't know was
custom
a
look a
thing.
little bit.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so it didn't, and I didn't know like how to do any of that. So that was super helpful just to like make it like my own blog, but also like now I understand like how to do all of that so much better.
Yeah. Yeah. I love how it looks and I really enjoy doing that kind of stuff. So I'm always happy to
Yeah,
help with
well,
that.
you're good at it, so that's good.
We kind of talked about this, but what's different for you now, like business wise and personally?
Yeah, I feel like besides like everything I've said, I feel like I have the confidence on my blog now that I just honestly didn't know what I was doing. I felt like I like kind of knew what I was doing, and after talking to you, like I feel like I actually know what I'm doing on my blog and like have I feel like it opened up like a lot more mental space because I understand what I'm doing on my blog, but also like I it like works so much better now than it was before. And I feel like that has allowed me to be able to like actually make recipes more because before I was like so wrapped up in like is my blog actually working, or like what do I need to get done on the back end, and like wasn't actually taking the time to cook anything, which is the whole point of the blog. So I feel like it opened up a lot of more like mental space for me just to like be able to actually cook and like have fun blogging again, which was, I used to dread writing blog posts. And now I feel like because I never knew like what I was doing exactly, or like the flow. And I think you helped me create like a template for everything. So that helped, like it really just is like a plug and play kind of thing now for me, which is much better because I used to just sit for like hours and spin my wheels on what to write because I'm not a very good writer, even though I
Same.
really like blogging. I'm a terrible writer. So like it takes forever for like the creative juices to start flowing. But now that I have like a template and like a format that I'm following, I feel like it comes so much easier. And like I know I just need to write like a little bit. I don't need to write like a million pages on a description for a recipe.
Yeah, just the helpful information.
Yes.
Definitely. Awesome. What are the like top lessons that you learned that you wish other food bloggers would know?
Um, I would say that simplifying the back end of everything and like your processes will make life much easier. Like I said, I had like a million plugins that I really just like would read about and be like, oh, I think that sounds good, and like add it to my blog. And then I had like a million of them that weren't actually like doing anything. Like I said, I was paying for a lot of plugins that weren't really doing anything. And like really only having like useful plugins, and like same with like blog posts, like useful content for people. And same with like the homepage, having just like everything that like people would want, or like that you want to showcase on your homepage versus like making it super cluttery and like hard to find things, and like making your menu more simple. So I think for me, like the theme of the whole thing was like really simplifying and like getting to know the back end of everything really helped me, I think, and made it a lot easier.
Yeah, it's like a less is more kind of thing.
Yes, and that's
Yeah.
not what I was doing.
Yeah, it's hard to know like what you need and what you don't, like what things actually do. Like things are so confusing sometimes.
Yeah, and it's kind of like taking medicine. Like you take one and then you have like side effects for another thing, and like it's like
Mhm.
a cycle. I feel like
Yeah.
obviously I'm from the health world, so that like sense to me.
Yeah.
But I feel like it was the same with plugins. Like all of a sudden you would have one and then, or I would have one and then need something for something else, that it was like making it super slow. So then I would do something else, and it was just like a cycle of like way too many things.
Yeah, that's a good metaphor. I like that. I'm also from like bio backgrounds.
Yeah, yeah, that's
I can
okay.
see
I remember
that.
that.
Yeah, no, that's good. And then, do you have any advice for people who are interested in or hesitant about doing an audit or coaching?
I would say the biggest thing is just do it. I feel like I was super nervous because, like I said, I had taken courses before that weren't really useful, and I feel like I wasted a ton of money doing, and then I didn't really like implement anything, or like I didn't get a ton out of it. And I feel like your audit, like it gave me such it like a ton of action steps, but they were like simple action steps at a time to do. And the videos that you gave me, like not only the audit, but like the after with like explanations of how to do certain things, were super helpful and made me realize like things shouldn't take as long as I was making them. And so that, like, it was like I would watch your video and they'd be like 5 minutes long, and then I could do it in 5 minutes. And just like that kept, I felt like that was with everything. So I would say really like dive in and actually do the audit, because it was like one of the most helpful things that I've ever done for my blog. Um, and I like it really just like kept me blogging. I feel like because it, like I said, I was burning the candle at both ends trying to do it and work and all of that. So it really helped me like get back into blogging and continue doing it. Um, and like you were so easy to talk to and like so knowledgeable on blogging, which was, I feel like that was very apparent right off the bat, where previously like it was like hard to understand what was going on. And I feel like you just made it super simple, and it was, like it's a lot of money, but it also was like I feel like I've gotten the return on it so much quicker than I even like could attempt to with other courses. So that was really, that made me feel a lot better about like, okay, like I first trusted you and then like obviously I paid you, but then I felt like I got the return on it. Not necessarily monetarily wise, I would love to monetize my blog, sooner rather than later, but that I feel like that made me one step closer or like a million steps closer to
Yeah,
actually doing that where I wasn't doing anything before. Like I was never gonna be able to monetize it.
that really means a lot to me. I'm glad that
Yeah.
I was able to help. Like, I'm seriously honored that you put your trust in me and like actually did the audit. And yeah, that, thank you.
Yeah. Yeah. And that just like your email course, like, or email subscription, like that's super helpful. I feel like everything you put out is like super helpful. I was just telling my husband the other day, like, I have like all of your emails saved in like one spot, and I just like will randomly go through like five at a time or whatever and make sure like I've done everything, even if I don't have time to read it. I just like store them away because I feel like you just have such useful content that a lot of people don't have.
Thank you. I really appreciate that.
Yeah, that's the truth. I tell everyone, I'm like, if you're blogging, you need to follow her. Even if you like don't do anything, like just follow her, and like her email list is like crucial.
Oh, that means a lot. Yeah, I love doing them. I think it's been over a year now, almost 2 years. I think quarter 1 next year, maybe. But yeah,
That's awesome.
I'm surprised I haven't run out of things yet.
Well, it's always changing, so I feel like you'll
Yeah,
never run out.
definitely. Yeah. Oh, and then is there like a certain level of food blogger that you think would benefit most from doing like an audit or a coaching call?
I feel like I don't know. I feel like everyone could, but I feel like you kind of have to understand, like you helped me understand everything so much more, but like having a little bit of a grip on like what you're doing on blogging. So not like super beginner, like not helping build their blog, but also like, beginner-ish on, I would
Yeah.
say, of like really, I feel like anyone could benefit from your tips but you kind of have to know like about your blog a little bit. Like I feel
Mhm.
like I didn't know I was clueless on a lot, but I like knew what I was doing a little bit in there.
Yeah, definitely. So maybe like a, I don't know, 20 or so blog posts, like have something
Yeah.
to actually look at
Yeah.
and give feedback on.
Yeah. And a good like foundation of that they can actually like build on, I feel like,
Mhm.
instead of obviously not starting from scratch, but that good foundation to like that you can fix things, but it's also not like too late to fix everything. That's always my worst. That was my worst fear is like having like 500 blog posts and like have
Yeah.
done all of them wrong.
Yeah. I know it's better to like, oh, I don't know what the saying is, but it's like you gotta fix it before it grows into like a bigger fire.
Yes, because that's where mine was going.
I know that's how I felt in the beginning of mine too.
That's funny. It's hard to know just like what's going on at first, but
Yeah.
like having a little bit of a grip on it, and then you gave me like so much more direction on like, okay, now go back and fix everything that you've
Mhm.
created a mess on.
Yeah, so do you feel like you kind of mostly did updates after the audit, or have you done a lot of new content too?
I've done both. I've been trying to do like 4 updates a month, 4 blog post updates a month, and then like 3 or 4 new recipes a month. But I do think like getting a system in place was crucial for me and like the template of everything because it doesn't take me as long to like go through blog posts. I think I did one in like an hour and a half last night, which was like a record for me. I
That's
had done
awesome.
like the keyword research ahead of time, but like actually writing it, and it used to take me like 4 hours to like sit there and like figure out what I wanted to say. So I feel like I've gotten so much quicker at it, and I have like the template, but I know where things are going on my blog. Like I felt like you also helped me like identify like the pieces that were missing a little bit. Like I had a ton of, I feel like I have a ton of like chicken recipes, and that was like, or maybe it was Whole30, I don't remember what it was, but it was something you were like, you have like a ton of this content, like either break it up or like move to something else that can be like you've written like a million recipes on this one already, like move on.
Yeah, kind of just making it easier for your users to find things and navigate the
Yeah,
blog.
and that was super helpful.
Is there anything else that you wanted to share?
I
It's
don't
okay if
know.
there isn't.
I don't think so. I really have enjoyed and appreciated all your help. I feel like I message you once a week of like, am I doing like, did I miss something or like, how do I do something? And it's like, I coach too, so I don't want to like ever bother you, but I feel like you are so responsive to like, here's like something really quick that you can do or like something like that. So been, I just really appreciated that because I've also had clients that message me constantly and I'm like, please stop it. So I hope I'm
No,
not that, but
no, you're not.
it's you've
It's
been
totally
such a
reasonable.
great a great resource to me of just like,
Good.
little questions down the line. And I was thinking I need to sign up for something else of yours soon, just to like keep the momentum. But I feel like I'm getting the hang of it for
Good.
like this quarter. And then when I stall out again eventually in not too long, I'm sure I'm gonna be like, okay, I need help again.
Well, I'm always here.
Yeah, definitely. And at your group, I have been wanting to do your group as well. I just needed to get a handle on my life first.
Yeah, yeah, I'm hoping to kick that off in January or February. So
Nice.
yeah, I'm excited.
That's exciting.
Still planning, but
Yeah, I'm sure that'll be super helpful because everything, yeah, everything you've done, you and the resources that you've sent me of just like, I was looking at it last night, like who the people or the person that does your Pinterest, like you shared that, and like here's someone else that does Pinterest because I have been wanting to tackle Pinterest again, but
mhm.
with all the time on my hand, I
Yeah,
haven't
there's so
done
much to
that.
do.
Yeah, so I was just like looking back through that of like, okay, when's the right time to like hire someone to do my Pinterest and to really help continue growing and things like that. So your resources just have been super helpful.
Good. And you're on Journey, right?
Yes.
How's that been going?
Yeah, that I should have added that. That I accepted a journey. It's been going really good. Was I don't know what I did on my own trying to get it set up and it wasn't working. So I was very frustrated. But then I reached out to my host and they helped me do everything. So that was, and then from once I got it figured out whatever I was doing wrong, it's been super easy. And I feel like that's really been helpful for my motivation. Obviously, I'm not making a ton of money on it. Otherwise, I don't know what I'd be doing. I'd love to leave my job eventually, but not doing that. So, but just like being able to see like some income coming in and like seeing it grow in different places and just like knowing that that's an option. And like, I felt like it was like pre-media buying, which is a good step just
Yeah,
for
definitely.
mentally a good step.
Yeah, that's a good motivator.
Yeah.
Good. Awesome. Thank you so much for sharing all of this.
Yeah.
This was really helpful, and I'm so glad that everything was helpful for you.
Yeah. It seriously, it was. I cannot sing your praises enough because it has been, I feel like it
Like literally
changed.
blushing.
Well, it has like changed my blogging because I was, I was lost on what I was doing.
Yeah, it's awesome to see the progress you're making, and I'm just very excited for you.
Well, thanks. Yeah, it's good because I was getting very burnt out on it.
Yeah, yeah, I can tell that like you seem to really enjoy it a lot more, and like showing up on your stories and like seeing what you're doing is always fun.
Yeah, that's another thing I need to work on getting back to is my Instagram, which I feel like I don't know if you told me this, but just like setting Instagram aside has been so helpful. Just like I am on there a little bit, but not
Mhm.
nearly as much as I was. And I
Yeah,
think in September I hardly posted at all, but I just was like focused on like my blog, which is getting me much further than what Instagram was doing.
Yeah, I don't really get much traffic from Instagram, so I feel like it's better to focus on the blog first and then move on to that once you're in a good place.
Yeah. Yeah. And just like posting like new recipes and then moving on from there because it's easy to get sucked into Instagram and being like, okay, well, I'm not
Mhm.
getting any traffic, I'm not getting any followers. Like, I feel like it's just like spinning your wheels on there and just setting that aside has
Yeah.
really like
Yeah.
one, I have way more time because I don't sit on Instagram for like 5 hours a day.
Yeah. Yeah, I feel like unless your goal is to be an influencer or something, like it makes more sense to focus on the blog side and then
Totally. Yeah,
like
that's
Instagram
that
and social kind of as like a promotion of your blog.
right. That and email, which
Mhm.
and my goal is to get back to this month because
Yeah.
I was good for a while and then with everything, the wedding, I was like, I cannot do this one
Yeah.
more week. So I feel like I just set everything aside for a couple months, which also was really good for me just to like get a
Mhm.
break and then get back into doing blogging a lot
Yeah.
more.
That's a good thing about vlogging is like you can set it aside for a little while and it'll still be there when you get back.
Right, right.
Mhm.
I like started a blog back in 2021 when I was trying in to figure out kind of like my next step, but wanted to be able to be home with my kids. And I've always kind of been in the baking industry. And so it just kind of felt natural to me, I guess. I was thinking I wanted to write a cookbook. And so to sell my cookbook, I felt like I needed a following. So I started this and really started my blog. I had zero idea what I was doing, especially when it came to like all the computer. I knew lots about baking and nothing about the other stuff. So slowly coming along from that.
Yeah, and you did the group coaching program this January through June.
Yes.
So before the group coaching program, what were kind of like the top three problems or frustrations you were dealing with?
It was all mainly like computer and website stuff. I just felt like I had I had built my website and I had just kind of like followed this exact tutorial to do it. But I felt like I can't push any buttons because if I do, I don't know how to get out of it. I just had zero understanding of like all the back end stuff. I never tracked any of my analytics. I just kind of didn't understand any of that kind of stuff. And so I feel like that's why I joined because I know that your strong suit is all of that kind of stuff. And I just wanted to have a better understanding of how to work the back end of my blog and how to understand my numbers better. And yeah. And also, it's lonely. And I just really wanted to have a little bit more of a sense of community and people that I felt like I could reach out to for ideas or questions and that kind of thing.
Mhm. Yeah. And did you feel that the group program kind of helped with all of those things?
100%. Yes. I
Good.
feel like I really took away a lot well, from all of it, quite honestly. But yeah, I feel like I have a way better handle on just the back end. I pay more attention. I don't check my analytics every day, or I don't
That's okay.
necessarily am good at those like comparisons, but I try to, once a week, or I mean, I'll check maybe them more than once a week, but I'll try and compare once a week or so to last year's or the week before's or things like that. I pay attention to what are my highest like blog posts and try to understand why and put out more content like that, instead of just kind of like always shooting from the hip.
Yeah, good. Good, I'm glad. So if you hadn't done the group coaching program and things had stayed the same for you, how would that have affected your business and personal life?
Um, I just I do think it's just helped me because I feel like to be able to grow, you have to understand all the aspects. And while I like the baking portion of it, that, you know, at the end of the day, that's not going to help me grow from month to month or year to year. And I need to be able to understand all sides, even just so that I can delegate those things to other people. You got to be able to understand it completely. So I feel like, and it's also helped me feel more structured in terms of like this past season, I felt super busy and like I haven't been able to create as much content as I had hoped to or wanted to. But instead, I'm focusing on revamping old content. And I don't think I would have done that if you hadn't like made that an option or made me realize that, that is an important part as well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So do you mind sharing like kind of what your numbers were before the group coaching program and what kind of where you're at now? I know it's December, so it's like kind of a peak month, but
Yeah, well, I have like doubled in revenue in the past year from
that's
last
amazing.
year, and my traffic has like doubled as well. So yeah, it's been like really great.
That's awesome. I'd love to hear that.
I know it's nice, especially because sometimes I have to stop and think like or when I started this and built this, it was so like I'm very Instagram based. Like a lot of my traffic is driven from Instagram. And so I was like leery to ever let go of that at all because I felt like concerned that then the traffic wouldn't stay consistent for me because
Mhm.
I'm not, or at least in the beginning, I was not heavily like Google searched or whatnot, as we all are. But um, so I'm grateful because now I feel like I can step back and some of my like content, especially that I'm posting through Instagram, is more like of nurturing content and isn't specifically driving traffic to my blog. But I feel like the traffic still continues to grow at this point. So
Okay. So
yeah,
like your Google traffic has grown.
100%. Yes,
Good. That's awesome.
I know. Yay.
And then kind of how does that like affect your personal life too?
Well, I mean, it's all a mental game. So I feel like
Yeah.
if you aren't growing or you aren't seeing success from it, then it's really hard to get yourself to want to like continue and do any of it. So, um, and then of course, making more money is always nice. And
Mhm.
that's at the end of the day why we're all here. And so it's amazing to see those numbers continue to just go up and up and up and up.
Yeah. Hopefully you'll double again next year.
I know. Crossing my fingers.
Yeah. Right. And then what are a few things that you've taken away from the group coaching program that have made a big difference?
Um, like I said, I think like working on old content and kind of like revamping it is something that I don't think I would have ever taken the time to do before. And that's been super beneficial for me. And like I said, just a little bit of a time saver. Then I'm spending probably half the time to revamp something as I would to create something new, maybe even, less than that. I don't know. And just understanding my analytics so that I can understand that I'm growing and why I'm growing and continue to try and like implement the things that are working for me and let go of the things that are clearly not paying me enough to be worth my time are really like the biggest things I would say.
Awesome. Yeah. Yeah. Always focusing on what's actually driving the traffic and revenue.
Totally.
Yeah. And do you feel that I kind of provided enough details and like resources to help you update those posts, like know what to update?
Absolutely. It was honestly, everything was very helpful. So
Okay.
helpful. Yeah.
Any advice for food bloggers who are interested in or hesitant for doing the group coaching?
I would say 100% do it because that's the thing. I feel like there were people in all different like age brackets and categories of food blogging, and everybody has different strengths and weaknesses. And I just feel like even if something works for one person, it may not work for somebody else, but it's also valuable information, whether or not maybe I'm like implementing it right now. I have no idea where I'm going to be 6 months from now. And so I just kind of feel like everything that was talked about and taught is like all things that we need to know as food bloggers. And so I just feel like, I mean, I would tell anybody to do it 100%.
Awesome. So is there any like particular stage you think a food blogger should be at for this type of group coaching or
No, I really don't think so. I mean, you have to obviously have
yeah.
started one to understand it, but no, I don't. I really think, it can be beneficial for everybody. Like I said, I just think some things may not be as beneficial for some people as for others, but there's always going to be some like topics that are discussed that are going to help one, somebody. So there were some things that probably kind of like went over my head more, or I already knew, but even still, it's kind of like you move on through a process and you're like, oh yeah, I remember hearing about that in that coaching call. And oh, it's like it re-triggers when you're facing it, if that makes
Yeah.
sense.
Yeah, definitely. And you've got those calls to go back to and kind of reference later on.
Totally. Yeah,
Yeah, good.
I
Good.
know.
Is there anything else that you wanted to share about it?
I mean,
That's
like
okay.
I said, I honestly think that I think it's something that would benefit everybody. Even just the community in itself, I feel like is very valuable and helpful to have. And you don't know what you don't know. And so sometimes other people's questions can benefit you way more than you thought. And so sometimes individual coaching, while I think that's great as well, I think there's just really something to be said about having a group to to learn things that you didn't even know you needed to learn.
Yeah, and to bounce ideas off of and all that.
Totally. Yeah.
Yeah, good.
So
Really glad that you enjoyed it so much.
I know it was very, very helpful.
Yeah, and it was awesome having you in the group. I'm really glad that you joined.
I know, me too. Thank you.
My name is Susan Gravitt. I started blogging sort of casually back in like 2021. Um, Always have been from then till now, and don't really anticipate changing this, have been focused on desserts, with a little bit of a specialty in just like desserts in general, but also like baking tutorials, like fun cookies, cakes, cupcake types of designs and things. So that's been my focus thus far. And then I would say maybe like 2022, like late 2022, I started taking it a little bit more seriously and trying to figure out like how to make my website just more interesting, a better experience for people visiting, just trying to soup it up as best I could. But also doing that while then and now still working a full-time job. So I would love to be doing this full-time, but I'm just for now kind of working on it when I can, and as much as I can to make it a better website for people. So
Awesome, thank you. And then before we had our audit and coaching call together, what were the top 3 problems or frustrations that you were dealing with?
I would say probably the biggest one that made me want to have an audit was just the lack of consistent traffic, and tied into that also just not really knowing how to improve it. Like what could I do differently to make my site better, to make individual posts better, just the whole user experience, I think, and not really having it's like always a process, like you're forever learning how to do those things better. But pre-audit, I just felt like those areas were especially daunting and confusing. Um, and then too, I mean, I guess it still ties into SEO, but thinking more about like the technical things to set up on my blog, like I wasn't correctly naming files and like having that correspond with like a recipe or something that I wanted to rank for. So just really like the technical, all things technical, but also SEO and just trying to figure out how to drive more traffic. Because those things were definitely a little bit more of an abyss at that time. So
Like if you hadn't done the audit with me and things had stayed the same for you, how would that have impacted your business?
I think before the audit, I was really, and I still would love to do this full time. once I kind of can get to that point. But before the audit, I just felt like I was sort of at the end of my rope as far as, not really having even like a vision or path forward, like how can I do this? Because it just seems like I'm trying this, I'm trying that, and nothing is really changing the website itself or changing even like how I feel about it. So it was starting to be kind of I wouldn't say a negative experience, but sort of discouraging to work on it. And just thinking like, okay, well, if I want to do this full time one day and my numbers are so low and I'm not sure how to change them, like where could this even go? So I think having the audit and going through it in such a step-by-step way where, it wasn't like, just kind of some general broad strokes of feedback, but really like, okay, we're going to look at this particular thing for SEO, like how to set up a template that's going to be really helpful for users, and kind of following a format for your post, how to make your images optimized correctly. All of these different like small things that came together that just make my website make so much more sense to me and how to like improve it, and just to like how I think about it for myself and how I can display it and share it for other people. So definitely like a mindset shift and just, giving me more hope of like this is how I could improve it if I just continue to follow these steps. I have like a roadmap which I was lacking before.
Yeah. And then how would that have impacted you personally?
Yeah, I mean, like I said, I think by that point, like pre-audit, I was like, just what else can I do? It's kind of sort of just like disappointing and not really feeling like I have a clear direction of what to do, and where to go and how to improve it. So I think, without the audit, I would have definitely um kind of slowed down, I guess, while I on my own might have tried to figure things out, which might have worked sort of, but like probably would have taken so much longer and still been like an incomplete process because I feel like you can't know what you don't know, if you're, learning something new and trying to pick up a skill set. And so like everything SEO and setting up a food blog, just I felt like I was kind of missing some key technical pieces to it. But having the audit really distilled that and made it, much clearer of a process. It wasn't so vague and confusing.
You've kind of touched on these, but what are three things you've taken away from the audit that have made a big difference?
Totally. So I think in general, just in going back a little bit to like the mindset, just being more confident about SEO, and not even just like, oh, I know it all now. Obviously, that's just not how something like this works. But just feeling like, okay, even if I don't know something, like now I know more people that, somebody like you, I'm like, okay, if I was really struggling, I know if I like pinged Kayla, she would be happy to help, or I could probably find this even in like the resources you share. But so thinking more holistically about that and not feeling so like, it's something I can't figure out or I haven't figured out yet. I'm just like doomed, like there's no hope. Like now I'm like, okay, there's other people, resources. So again, just kind of the mindset shift of like other people have done this. There are options out there. It doesn't have to be so confusing and vague. You just kind of like have to open your eyes and your mind to that. So I think that was super helpful. And then of course, kind of in tandem with that, like feeling more confident about SEO and better plugged into resources that offer guidance. Just again, like acknowledging that those are out there if I seek them out, and continuing to try and always learn. I feel like just watching you go through the audit, I was like, wow, there's so much more I could do for my website. And knowing that like almost like the possibilities are endless, but not like spiraling into like, oh, I should try and do everything. But just realizing that there's like lots of ways and lots of solutions out there. I think also another big one was kind of towards the end of the audit, I remember talking to you about like feeling stressed that I need to always be creating new content and like because after the audit I was like, oh, there's so much stuff that I could improve and I should improve, but I feel like, oh, I have to be making more, doing more. And you were like, yeah, you actually don't. It's good to of course be creating new things, but if you have like a good set of recipes, good photos, like you can kind of work with what you've got to maximize it. And I think, again, as a mindset shift, that helped to redirect energy that was sort of like, as a creative person, you're always thinking of like the next project, the next thing that I can do that will be fun and interesting. But if you're not fully wrapping up your other projects, your other blog posts, like really giving them their due diligence, um, you can you're almost like missing out on low-hanging fruit in a way. So to take a step back and be like, okay, I have recipes I really love and I'm proud of. I don't have to, always be churning and burning for the next thing. I definitely have room to improve my existing work. Like, how can I better do that? And so it's a little bit of like a working smarter and not harder mentality. And then also giving myself the like permission to do that too. And not feeling so like, oh no, a week has passed and I haven't posted 3 new recipes. Like that was just a burden that didn't need to be there. And you like alleviated that.
What's different for you now, business wise, like traffic and stuff like that?
Yeah, I mean, I feel again a lot more confident, like just sharing my website, which I think is huge. Like before, I was like, "Ooh, it doesn't look as good as I would like," but occasionally I put it out there. And I, wasn't even as consistent before, with like my email newsletter, which I've done pretty consistently in the last like 2 to 3 months. So that made a huge difference, just the feeling of it, but also like as far as numbers go, if I compare the last roughly 30 days of my traffic versus looking back in the month prior to my audit, it's just like no question that my website improved as far as SEO and the ability to like attract people to it and keep them on the page longer because the numbers, kind of tell the story themselves, but it's generally like it's like 4 times as many site visitors now compared to pre-audit, which is like really encouraging because then I'm like, okay, I'm on the right path. I'm implementing the right steps from the audit. So I think that's probably like the biggest takeaway there.
That's awesome. Yeah, that's a huge growth. So
Yeah,
I'm
we
so
love to
excited
see
for
it.
you.
The more the merrier.
Yeah, definitely. What's different for you now personally?
Yeah, I think too, like just working on my website now is more fun. Like even before this call, I was looking at, um, I feel like your website is always like a guiding light, even just like its existence as it is. But then having the audit too, it's like, okay, I see how like Kayla does things on her website. Like now I understand some of this better. So today I was just working on playing around with like the layout from a little bit more interesting stuff displayed seasonally. So really just on a personal level, like having more fun with that and not, of course, not just throwing out whatever I want at any time and changing it up a lot, but like being more strategic, but knowing how to do that and thinking about like what I should be displaying to people now and kind of trying to guide them to, it just feels much better to know and have a little bit more like confidence about how to do that well. And then it, when you're good at something, I think you just inherently like enjoy working on it. And so I'm by no means like a pro now, but I feel much better and much more knowledgeable than I did. So taking those skills and applying them to my website just makes it like less daunting to make changes to it, makes it more fun to switch it up and kind of, see what this work for now. If it doesn't, that's okay. I can play around with it because I know how to do that better. Post audit. So I think all of those things just like have made a big difference. And even in my time, like I said earlier, how I dedicate time to working on my existing recipes that I know could be improved as far as how they're laid out and written, versus like dwelling on needing to create new content. I think that has just, made me a lot less stressed as far as recognizing I already have things I can work with and improve versus the need to like churn out something new all the time. So I think it definitely gave me more balance.
Good. Yeah. Yeah, definitely like work with what you have and build
Yeah.
that solid foundation.
Yes.
And that's great that like you are a little more confident, like you're not afraid to play around with stuff on your site.
Yeah. Yeah, I used to always want to do that, but I would just be so reluctant. And like the theme I was using was pretty static. So, you know, that was also like a limitation. There was only so much I really could do with that. But now it's so much more, it feels like more malleable in a really like inviting way, and it's like more playful almost. And I'm just not as intimidated. I'm like, okay, I most likely am not going to break everything by changing this one small feature. And if I do, I can roll it back. It's all good. So it's just like much better vibes.
Good. What are the top 3 lessons you've learned that you wish other food bloggers would know?
I think one of the big ones is like if I could go back in time and do this audit like many years ago, I would have. Like if I had, again, it's like you don't know what you don't know sort of thing. But knowing what I know now, I'm like much more excited to ask for help because I'm like, there's no reason not to. And I think you also, yes, even when you're paying for a service like an audit, you really, if it's a legitimate service, you're gonna invest in it, but it's gonna be worth it if you take it seriously. So I think that's important for, if you want a business of any kind to grow, whether it's a food blog or something different, it might happen eventually if you do it all on your own and you just like slog through it, but it does help to work with experts who are expert in things that you don't understand or know about yet. And I think it just fast tracks your experience and like feeling towards success. So if I could say one thing, it would definitely be if there's any area where you feel like you're lacking in your food blog knowledge, like try and find the expert, whether it's a paid service or free, whatever that may be for you. Try and do that sooner rather than later because it's just so worth the alleviation of like stress and time that it takes off of you to have someone guiding you. So I think that's like definitely, again, I've thought about that so much. I'm like, oh, if I'd only done this sooner. So maybe that's my like really big takeaway for right now. And if I think of another good point to add on to it, because I just like that one is so huge.
Yeah,
Um,
definitely.
yeah, just do
Yeah,
it.
you
Just
don't have to
do
do
it.
everything on your own.
I guess, I mean, maybe a small addendum to it is also like having a good foundation for your website. It sort of ties into that too, but like the theme that I was using and that I thought was good, like I just didn't understand how it worked, which, part of that was like learning that in an audit, but like if I could do that over again too, like I could have figured that out a little sooner on my own if I just like focused on that a bit more instead of like new recipes, new like learning how to take photos. Like there's so many pieces that do matter and they make sense. So it's like hindsight's 2020. But yeah, I just wish that the website that I had been working off of was like more felt like it was part of the 21st century instead of just like hunks of text and block and things. It just so yeah. But again, that was like also partly in having an audit, it like knowing it was coming, I wanted my site to like be in a good condition to even again like show it to someone and not be like, well, here's this thing I'm sort of embarrassed about. Like, can you audit it? Versus like, okay, this definitely needs to be improved, but at least like the foundation is decent. Like, how do I build it from here? So yeah, I think having a good theme, huge difference. Huge
Yeah.
difference too.
Yeah, I remember you saying that you were like nervous to reach out
I
because
was
you
like,
didn't want
oh
me to look at your
no, who's gonna
site.
look at this and not be like, what are you doing? So yeah, that's a
Yeah,
fun
no,
one.
I think that's a good point. Just like taking the time in the beginning to like focus
Yes,
on quality and getting everything laid out well so you don't have to go
yes,
back to it later.
totally. Like get all your ducks in a row and then you can add more ducks, but like you need
Yeah.
to start with just a few ducks and
Mhm.
make sure they're happy before you expand the pond.
I like that. And then any advice for those who are interested or hesitant about coaching? You kind of just
Literally
said
just do
that.
it. Just do it. Like I can't really think of an instance where like I would say it's a bad idea or don't do it. I mean, yeah, it's just if you're thinking about it, you're probably thinking about it because you know something is missing or could be improved. Otherwise, why would you even be wondering, I wonder if I should get an audit? So I think that small voice is probably telling you something you should listen to and just go ahead and pursue it. Because you're not going to know what the experience is like until you've pursued it. And so then you kind of have this nice framework you can follow as a roadmap going forward. Um, but it's hard to move forward if you don't have that. And I'm not sure where else you'll really get it if you're not getting an audit and you feel like that's something that would be helpful to you. Yeah, it's just nice to have somebody like kind of lay it out plainly for you if you're struggling to know what's the next best thing to do.
Do you have any regrets for doing the audit?
Um, no. Like if the only thing, again, it's kind of not a double-edged sword, but I feel like with an audit, I could have ahead of the audit, like I could have spent even more time trying to like tidy up my site to make it in an even better I guess like position on my part before sharing it with you or anyone who's considering an audit. But again, it kind of goes back to the like, okay, well, how long are you gonna try and forge this path on your own? You can do that, but you could also be doing it wrong. So it's kind of, again, it goes back to like, I think it's just better to do it in whatever state you're in, regardless of how imperfect your blog might be, because it just, there's no shame in having a flawed website. Like no website is perfect out there. So why beat yourself up over it and be like, oh, is my site even good enough for an audit? Because I felt like that was something that I sort of contemplated for a while too. Um, I would say that's really the only thing is to just not overthink it. And if I had a regret, it's like just go ahead and put yourself out there for the audit and you know, don't be so worried about how it might be seen or perceived because at the end of the day, everyone, like your goal and the auditor's goal, like you in this case, it's just to make a website better, even if it's like real bad and it gets really good. The upside is you have so much room to grow. So you're gonna feel just relieved you did it and happier instead of just like waiting around for it to be better. So yeah, I don't have any regrets about the audit. Um, like I said, I wish maybe I'd done some more parts of it sooner, but no regrets.
Good. I'm glad to hear that. Thank you for answering that. Are there any resources you've taken from the audit or like resources I shared and made yours?
One that I remember actually seeing before the audit, but I feel like you end up using pieces of it in the audit, and correct me if I'm wrong, but it's your like guide for image optimization. So I remember seeing that. That was actually one thing that made me realize like I need an audit because I was like, what is she talking about in this guide? What do you mean? I have short pixel. What else could I do to these images? And then I watched the whole video and I was like, oh my gosh, there's so many photos to fix. Um, which is just funny now. But yeah, like seeing that actually encouraged me more to do the audit. And it is something I've like referenced, not as much now because I feel like, okay, I like get the gist of this. But especially initially, I was like, oh, I really gotta figure this out and like do this correctly. So that was a big one. I think in the audit, you also, I guess, I don't know if you give it explicitly or more just like talked about it, but even having like a template, kind of like the format for the blog posts themselves. And I feel like you've shared a version of that too, maybe in your email newsletter, something like that. I feel like I have this from you. So, and I don't remember what
I
way
might
I
have,
received
yeah.
it since it's been a while now, but definitely like post audit, I remember being like, okay, now I know how to lay out this post because of what Kayla has said. Um, so, and of course, like tweaking it a little bit because like no template is perfect for every single post. Um, but that was huge because it just made it so much less confusing to even start a blog post. Like, what am I supposed to write now? What should go here? What makes sense there? So that was a big one. I feel like there were a couple others that um if you say resources that are in the audit, I'll be like, oh yes. And I'll probably say, yep, uh-huh. I used all of those. I'm just
Okay,
forgetting
nice.
like where I got some of your guidance because you give so
Yeah.
much. So I'm like, was it an email or my actual audit? So that's my problem.
No, this was great. Thank you so much for sharing everything.
Yeah, totally. More than happy. Again, just get the audit. That's the whole my takeaway. Just do one.
My name's Sarah. My blog is Real Food with Sarah. I've been blogging for about 4 years, but not really serious until maybe like the first year wasn't really serious. So for 3 years of serious work. My niche is easy comfort food recipes. Now I'm kind of shifting to focus on just like pasta, chicken, and potato recipes within that. So
And so we started off doing kind of one-on-one coaching together, I think around May 2023.
yeah.
And then you did the 3-month like one-on-one group program, and then also the group coaching program from January through June of this year, 2024.
Mhm.
So before we did the group coaching program, what were your top 3 like problems or frustrations that you were dealing with?
I was struggling to get to the media buying level. I was like hovering around like 30, 40,000 sessions for like months and just like couldn't get past that. And then also like my email list was like basically non-existent. I think I had like 200 people and like people didn't open them really. So, and then I wasn't really sure like who like my audience was, who I was writing for, who I was creating recipes for, who I wanted to help. So yeah.
Things that I've also dealt with. So if you hadn't done the group coaching program or any coaching with me, and things had stayed the same for you, how would that have impacted your business?
I mean, I definitely wouldn't be making money from ads, obviously. If things had stayed the same traffic wise. Same with like my email list. I feel it's grown so much this year. It's just like amazing. Um, like I just feel like I know what my blog's about, like what Real Food with Sarah is now. I feel like before I didn't, I would just be like I was all over the place, and I probably would still be the same way.
Are you comfortable sharing like revenue, subscriber count, anything like that, or traffic?
Yeah. So at the time, I mean, I was only making money from brand work, so it obviously like depended. 2023 from brand work, I think I was made like 40,000. Mainly like one client too. I worked with a lot. Um, right now I'm at 140,000 sessions, or I think so. I don't know. Google Analytics is like weird right now.
Yeah, it is.
So I think that's where I am, but I don't know.
That's amazing.
Not positive. But right now I'm on track to make $6,000 in ad revenue this month. So it is
That's awesome.
November, so that's like a disclaimer here.
Mhm.
The week before Thanksgiving. So
Yeah.
yeah, but yeah, I'm excited about that.
Cool. So you went from around like 30,000 sessions when we first started working together to, you said 140,000
Yeah,
now?
yeah.
Cool. Yeah, that's huge.
Uh, Newsletter subscribers, I'm at 3,888.
Wow.
Beginning of this year, I was at like 300 something.
Yeah, that's huge.
Yeah, and like most people are right now. I don't send to any cold subscribers, so my open rate and click-through rate is like really good. So I
Can you
haven't
share with us?
deleted those people yet, but I think in
Can
the
you,
new year I'll do like try to get them back in, but for now I'm just leaving them off.
yeah. Can
Yeah.
you share what like your click through and all that is?
Yeah, let me see. Sometimes I don't know how to find. Okay, so my average open rate in the last 90 days is 33%. Click through is like 2.22, so that could go up a little bit more. I don't know what the
Mhm.
average is, but
But before like coaching and all of that, it was like, was it much lower or about the
definitely
same?
lower.
Lower. Okay.
Lower, yeah.
If you hadn't done the group coaching or anything, how would that have impacted you personally?
I just feel like I had people to like go to with the group coaching. It was like really helpful for me to whenever I had a question, I like knew I could had people to ask. Whereas before it was like, okay, let me just Google to see if I can find this answer. Like maybe I'll try to find someone on Instagram that I know and ask them. It's just like I liked having the community aspect.
Mm.
And it helped me like become more confident. And then also it's just like nice to have a community to lean on when, especially like in this blogging industry where you're just working from home all by yourself, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, there's not too many like food blog specific like good resources on Google. I Google all
Yeah,
the time.
exactly.
But yeah, I know like working with you the past year or so, I've noticed like you seem a lot more confident and like comfortable like putting yourself out there and doing more things. So
Yeah,
it's awesome to
definitely.
see. What are three things you've taken away from the group coaching that have made a big difference?
Definitely like nothing happens overnight, obviously. Well, there's some people who success they find overnight, but if you like are consistent and like your hard work will pay off for sure. Like you just have to put in the work and be consistent about it. Yeah,
Mhm.
for sure. Also like I know it's hard, but like try not to focus on what other people are doing because comparison is like not really good because like every blog and like every business is like is different. So like you could put out like the same recipe as someone else, but like I don't do it your own way and just don't worry about what other people are doing. That's what I
Mhm.
think. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's really important too.
Another one. I don't know. Community is everything. I think that's a good one for that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Most people are nice and willing to help.
Yeah, I've definitely found that like getting all the guest speakers to join the group coaching program, like I was
Yeah.
like in tears sometimes just when people would say yes, just to like, be kind and to give back to the community.
Yeah,
Like,
because like everyone started basically at nothing. So
yeah,
yeah.
just keep paying it forward.
Hmm.
Are there any other like lessons that you've learned that you wish food bloggers would know?
Like don't believe everything you read in like Facebook groups and stuff. Like I don't know, that's bad to say, but some people I feel like you shouldn't like are like selling things that don't just like go out and buy these things like without like doing your research and stuff because
Yeah.
unfortunately some people are like scammers. So
Yeah, always
definitely
think
like
of like the
put in a
reason
little
behind it.
thought before you invest in your business for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. Especially if
That's a
someone's
good.
like guaranteeing like overnight success or you know, maybe
Yeah.
take a step back and be like, I don't know about that.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Do you have any advice for people who are interested in or hesitant about group coaching?
Um, I say just go for it. Like obviously, number one, it's like going to be an investment in your business, and I think that always pays off for sure. And then number two, you'll meet great people and get to connect with people. You never know like who you're gonna connect with and be like friends with forever or whatever, you know?
Mhm.
I definitely say it's definitely scary to like put yourself out there and like talk about your business and whatever. Especially if like maybe your page views are not as high as you'd like them to be, but you know, at some point everyone was at 10,000 page views a month, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I feel like a lot of people are kind of afraid to open up and share all of that because they're embarrassed by it or something. But it's like we've all
Yeah,
been there and we're here to help each other grow.
exactly. Yeah.
Like,
Like
the
you said
more
before, people are willing to pay it forward. So
Mhm.
yeah.
Yeah, it feels good to help people.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I feel like the more we talk to each other and like share our experiences, the more we can learn from each other and connect. Like it's
Yeah,
huge.
yeah, I agree.
Are there any resources that you've taken from like group or one-on-one coaching and kind of made your own?
Well, I love all like the Looker Studio stuff that you created. I used the analytics and then the forget the other one it's called, but
Oh, the content
yeah,
analyzer.
yeah, that one. I like that one a lot. I don't really use the other stuff that because I have like my own systems, like I use like Airtable and stuff, but yeah, those two are I love them. I use them all the time.
Cool. Glad to hear that.
Yeah. Oh, and then I also go back and like that stuff you sent in the Google Drive.
Oh yeah, like
Whenever
checklists and stuff like that.
yeah, exactly. Like sometimes I'm like, oh shit, what is that?
What like stage of vlogging do you think people should be at for this type of group coaching program?
I think like beginner to like immediate, I think like or like close to qualifying for ad network or like maybe just qualified, you know.
Is there anything else that you wanted to share about the one-on-one or group coaching?
I don't know. I thought it was all great. Clearly, I did like one-on-one and then 3 month and then the 6 month. I thought it was all great.
And you're in
Yeah,
the mastermind now.
yeah, exactly. I just liked having, first of all, like you to go to at the beginning, the one-on-ones. I think, yeah, you were so helpful to all my questions. And then, and then the group coaching, I just, like I said, I liked having everyone there to ask questions and, lean on each other.
Well, yeah. Yeah, I've loved working with you and having you in all of the groups. So I'm glad that you've been enjoying everything.
Yeah, it was great.
Cool. Awesome. Well, thank you again for doing this.
Yeah, of course.